Hey, I'm Dusty.
And I'm Lori. And yes, we're going there.
Tough Topics is where we talk honestly about mental health. No fluff, no fake positivity.
Just real conversations, helpful tips, and the occasional awkward overshare.
Because let's be honest, we've all got stuff.
And you don't have to go through it alone.
This is Tough Topics, real talk to help you feel a little better, one episode at a time. Hi, and welcome back to Tough Topics. It has been a bit since we've been here, which we've just had a whole bunch of things come up. So
yeah,
we're super glad to be back, though.
Yes, very excited to be back.
We're going to talk about a super fun topic about people pleasing, which Lori and I know nothing about because we have
the best boundaries.
Super best, right? We never get caught up doing a survey. I can tell you how many times I've thought of you about doing surveys. Okay, so I've been...
Now you notice them everywhere. Don't you?
Now that you said that, I know that's totally off topic. But since you said that one time, like they're everywhere. I never noticed them.
I know.
And now it's harder for me to say, no, you did that.
I created the opposite effect I was going for.
I don't know how that worked.
They're everywhere.
Right.
Please leave a review. Would you do this survey?
Always.
We want some feedback. It's
I know.
Overwhelming.
It's constant. But on a side note, if you would like to leave us a review. As long as it's positive, we'd love to see it. Okay, totally derailed us
because
there.
We're people pleasers because we want everybody to like us. So please leave us some good feedback.
And if you too are a people pleaser, you will leave us a good positive review because you wouldn't leave us a bad one.
Right.
Oh Lord, I'm
gosh,
sweating.
it's been a long week. We're a little punchy, but
we are just all over the place. I kind of
love it.
This is kind of my favorite. Yeah,
I know. So yeah, we're going to kind of dive into, I think people pleasing can be a big, all-encompassing and confusing topic, right?
Right.
We hear the word codependency. Ugh. That's kind of gaining more traction, out there in the world. People are, oh, you're codependent or you're codependent. And so we're just going to kind of start diving through some of those
of the research that we did. Sorry, go ahead.
Practical applications.
Yes.
Real life examples, all of the above. So,
right. Especially if you're anything like me and you hate some of those words, like the codependent word, I hate, right? Like I even have a handout that I like go over with clients and I just say, but it's already like laminated and it's already on there. And so I just like put my finger over the word codependent. I'm like, we're not going to call it that. We're going to call them the givers. Yes. They're the givers of the world, right? But I mean, it is picking up more traction. I think we're getting more information out there about what it looks like. Maybe like where people pleasing comes from, right? Like where this dynamic is starting to develop in childhood, right? Like oftentimes how it plays out in relationships and marriages, the long-term effects of it, right? Like kind of how it, everybody wants to be nice. Everyone wants to be helpful. I don't know if everybody wants to be. Most people.
Right.
But at what point does it become detrimental?
Yes.
Like at what point is it the cost of yourself?
Yes.
So those are the things that we've been kind of milling around.
And that's what I always say to clients too, when we're doing codependency work and there's a couple of really great books out there. I always say everybody's codependent on a spectrum. It's not you either are or you aren't, right? Sure. It's like where is it a problem in what relationships and in what situations? So I always say like, read these books, look up this author and think of it like throwing spaghetti at the wall. If it sticks, internalize it, put it into practice. If it doesn't, let it go. But you'll start to become a little bit more aware of the opportunities that you actually have to set some boundaries and take care of yourself. I think that's the valuable part of the work with it.
Oh, for sure. Right. And I like how you mention a spectrum, like in different relationships too, right? So like where I might show up exceedingly people pleasing, let's say in one area of my life, in another area of my life, I might have really good boundaries, right? Like maybe I have really good structure around work, we'll say, right? And so that can also be confusing for a person that says, well, why can't I just be like, I'm so strong over here and I've got it figured out and it works so well, but why can't I do it over here? Right. Or why do I feel like such a bad person when I do set these boundaries or vice versa? It can be confusing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it comes down to like a chemical reaction in your brain, right? Yeah. You talked about being a helper that's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a very positive thing. And when you're helping someone else, you literally get the good chemicals in your brain. And it's good for society and it's good for you. And for years, I worked in a residential treatment facility. And part of the programming was the clients had to do volunteer work for that reason. Like you need to learn how to give back to society. You need to learn how to keep a commitment. You need all those things. Yes. And you don't have your substances anymore giving you good chemicals in your brain. We need to find positive, healthy, high functioning ways to get that cocktail of good chemicals going in your brain. So it's never a bad thing to be helpful.
No.
It only becomes a problem when it's a problem, you know, and how that how it affects you. And so I'll often talk with clients, and to be perfectly honest myself, about, okay, am I helping someone? What is my goal in helping them? What am I trying to achieve? And if I'm starting to, fine, yeah, I'll do it, and I'm having an internal temper tantrum and I'm feeling resentful about doing it, then it's dysfunctional.
Sure.
Then it's a good idea to set a boundary there. So
that's a good little warning sign, right? Like a little indicator. Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Like where do we think this starts? Like what do you think produces a really good people pleaser? Like, what produces a people pleaser? None of us are born that way, right? I don't know. What are your thoughts first?
You know, I think it can become a really maladaptive coping skill from early childhood.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I think there's also some great birth order research that kind of shows like firstborn versus middle child versus younger. And some of that just, it goes back to the nurture versus nature argument, right? But there's some great research out there about maybe where you fall into the sibling set in your family. Okay. I think it has to do with, honestly, like a survival skill within your family of origin, and also a learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you hear messages growing up about, oh, but it's for grandma. We really need to help grandma out.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's, oh, well, you're, the pastor at church really needs this help. So I think it can be the messages that you receive, and also how you kind of like, I use the word survive, but I think you'll know what I mean. Like how you kind of survive where you fit in your family of origin. And when you and I were talking, you had said something that stood out to me, that it's like the fight, flight, or freeze response sometimes. So
kind of like one of them.
Yeah.
Because I do think in some instances it is a matter of survival, right? Now, again, if we think of like trauma or, dysfunction or neglect and abuse and adverse childhood experiences, right? That's also kind of a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
But if we think about that, it is a survival factor sometimes in some families, right? It could be that says, not only is this the way that I know that I'm safest, like if I'm really pleasing and I'm really helpful and I can read a room and I can pick up on tension and I know what my mom's need is before she has to have that meltdown about it, that makes me feel safe.
Exactly.
Right? It could also hopefully make me also feel loved, right? Or maybe important, or maybe less in trouble than my older sister who might be more rebellious, right?
Yes.
So it really could be survival. And even if if your life wasn't that drastic, it could still feel like survival to you as a child. It really could still be wired that way is what I'm thinking.
Yes. And I think even moving forward into adulthood, and some of that's really real and valid, right? If you have a super demanding boss who stomps all over your boundaries, most people need their job.
Yeah,
right.
Sure,
and so am I going to be able to survive at this organization? Am I going to be able to keep my job? All those. Should you be looking for another job? Yes.
Sure.
But
or maybe you can't, or maybe it's where your family's looking. I mean, there could be reasons. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, then it kind of becomes a literal way of surviving a situation or an environment.
Absolutely. Right. So it could be, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, do I do this? You probably know if you do this, right? But I mean, it really could be in a lot of different reasons, right? And I think it's important to point out that it's not like you're doing something wrong or that something's wrong with you or, oh my gosh, here's like the newest like thing that, you know, I need to be diagnosed with. None of that. It's just that like our brain wires these patterns that feel like survival, right? So like imagine like you drive a car across, I don't know, a big open field over and over and over on the same path. Ruts are going to be created. Pretty soon it's going to be a path, right? It's kind of like that in your brain. And when it's meant for survival, it's even stronger, you know, whether it's work or childhood or whatever.
Right. And to use your analogy of, you know, driving on a dirt road and ruts in the road, the ruts that are already there are real easy to drive in, right? Creating new ones.
So hard.
That's the hard part. That's where the friction is. And I think that's something that can be really hard with breaking any type of dysfunctional codependency or people pleasing or whatever, is because not only is it a new rut, new neural network, new way of doing things in the brain, that also by definition is in relation to other people.
Right.
So you're changing the rules of the game. Like if we go back to the example of the demanding boss, right? Well, Lori, you always worked all weekend.
Always,
you always got all this.
Yes, I thought I could
what
count on
happened?
you.
Yeah. Why'd you turn into such a bitch? You know, like
right.
You hear those from people who are used to your rut in the road, and now you're trying to shift that, and that's a really tricky.
It's so tricky because these are people that you've made or are important in your life. I mean, these just aren't like, you know, the stranger down the street that you'd be like, F off, dude, right? But these are important people. Like these people carry significance in your life, and when they're trying to keep you in your path, it's easy to go back to it.
It is.
Right? Now, granted, they want you on your path because that feels safest to them.
Exactly.
It's not like, I don't think most people are probably like, ooh, how can I fuck up Lori today? I'm going to make her codependent, right? Not that, right? But I think like if you start having healthy boundaries with somebody that's not used to that, that feels unsafe for them. So understandably, they're also trying to find their safe rut, I guess. It just doesn't always work the best for us.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's, you know, I'll always use an analogy with clients, not really an analogy, but like, here's a way to check in with yourself. Okay. If someone asks you, someone that you feel like maybe you're kind of working too hard to please and they're taking advantage of it and using you for it. If you're developing resentment toward that person or toward that relationship, that's a you problem, right? That you're holding resentment about something that the other person has no knowledge of whatsoever. So a lot of times that people pleasing or that codependency can feel like a loss of control. Like, I don't have any control. It's my mom. I have to do it, right?
Sure.
But you actually have way more control and more agency in this situation than you think you do, because you're the one not choosing to set a boundary, and then you're holding resentment against that person, and that's not fair to them. They don't know why you're so snotty recently. They don't know why you're so tired or so whatever.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, so then that's a good way of the warning signs, right? That says like, okay, I'm starting to feel resentful. I think another one was just in my head and then I forgot.
It's okay.
Another way maybe to figure out like warning signs is stop and think like, what am I afraid of happening if I don't help, right? And then just see how that might play out in your mind, you know, that says, okay, well, I'm just worried that they're going to be upset with me. Okay, well, that might be an indicator that a boundary needs to be made, right?
Right.
Or I'm just worried that my mom's going to feel like I've let her down. Okay, but see how it becomes about that other person, right? That's another indicator, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or if you realize that you're not telling important people in your life about things that are happening over there. Like, oh, I can't tell my husband that my boss screamed at me again because he's so tired of hearing about it, right? If I'm starting to hide those things, well, then I've also kind of crossed into this territory of maybe some boundaries need to be set.
Yeah. And I think you said something about like, what am I afraid of?
Yeah.
And I always come back to fear, right? This pattern of people pleasing, codependency, whatever you want to call it. It's I mean, it's a fear of abandonment, right?
Could be.
It's a fear of the other person leaving the relationship, fear of conflict, fear of not being good enough, fear of all those things. And that's what I mean when I say it really is a you problem. You really do have more power in this situation than it feels like you do.
Sure. Which is so interesting, right? Because if you feel like you're the one with no power, but really you do hold so much there, like what a weird dynamic, you know?
Right.
It could be hard to wrap your brain around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the tricky part is like, how do you communicate that your power and that? So like, I mean, I kind of have some practice the way that I would like to be setting boundaries. I don't always do a great job of it. Usually I do set boundaries that involve 4-letter words, and that's not appropriate or helpful for anyone. How
descriptive. It could be descriptive, emphasizing. Something.
It's an adjective, right?
It can be used in many forms. Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you think that what's an effective assertive boundary maybe that you've set recently?
We can't even say that with this straight face. I can tell you lots of that I haven't said. Okay, let's think. Let me put my therapist hat on for a second. Okay. I don't think I've set one recently, right? Like I've struggled. Okay, full disclosure, right? I've struggled with this very topic just recently. Like I was sick this month. I was in the hospital and I was stressed about canceling appointments on clients. And I've had a few like procedures, you know, like I was in the hospital, yada, yada. And then had some follow-up procedures that had to be done. Some, you know, involved anesthesia, some didn't. And I was trying to figure out my schedule for the very next day even. And I think I'm sure it was you that texted me and said, tell me you took tomorrow off. And I'm like, well, I mean, and one of
she had a follow-up surgery on Tuesday and scheduled clients on Wednesday.
They were on Zoom. Which, I mean, it is true. Okay, I should have done better about that. But Zoom did make a difference, right? Yes. And it's funny because I don't think that you knew this, but one of the meetings I had the next day or had scheduled the next day was a consultation group with some nurses that I work with. And they had said to me, we will not meet with you. Listen to, here's a boundary. They told me we will not meet with you the day after your surgery. We can do it the next week. And I was like, okay, great. I'll meet you the next week, yada, yada. So I met with them. So that would have just been this week because we're just talking a few days here, right? Like, I mean, this is kind of nuts, right? So I just met them this week and they were like, yeah, Dusty, when you said that you could meet us the next day, we were like, what is she talking about? We really hope that you got your rest that day. And I said, well, I did see some other people. And they were like, Dusty, like, you were supposed to rest the next day. So I don't do this well. I'm terrible at this.
And what is it? Why do you think that we need, like, in your specific example, the validation from nurses? Like literally the nurses that were your clients in that situation were like, no, we don't want to meet with you. Like that need for.
Yeah. Like what is it? Is it validation? Did it matter that they were nurses? Maybe because they would like understand kind of more what was going on. Or I don't know. Like, and I mean, would have it been different otherwise? I suppose I had some other clients, just, you know, like regular clients too, that were just like, no, Dusty, like take the week off. But what's with me that I was like, okay, guys, so I'm going to have surgery on Tuesday, but I could probably see you either Tuesday morning or, you know, Wednesday morning will probably be okay. And they're like, I've had clients that were like, no, I'll see you the next week. What's the deal?
And you know what? I don't think it's all negative. Let's talk about the positive in that situation too, because okay.
I love it. I want to talk about the positive.
Here's what I think is a really positive character trait about you in that situation that you just described. Integrity, right? Okay. We work with clients.
Yes.
We are accountable to our clients. I don't know of any mental health therapists that cancel clients unless they absolutely have to.
Right.
I mean, this is your scheduled time. I've reserved that for you. It's sacred. I want to meet my responsibility to you.
Absolutely.
So I think that speaks to integrity.
I think that's important, right? Like, I mean, we are holding space for, and I mean, not to like continue to rationalize, but I had been on vacation for a whole week. And then I was in the hospital for a whole week. So I had already missed my clients for 2 weeks. It wasn't like I was just missing a day.
Yeah.
True. You know,
that is a really good
I already
point.
felt
True.
bad that, and what is it too? Like if that, like when we take time for ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not being in the hospital, right? But I was like, well, I already was on vacation for a week and then I came right back and ended up in the hospital. And then, but yes, it was, I was feeling bad that I had already like, what if they were struggling? What if, you know, they didn't have their weekly appointments? Like, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it because I did give you a hard time about that, but I really do understand what you're saying. You know, I don't think that we would be in the field that we're in if we didn't we didn't take it and we didn't accept that, you know, responsibility that we do feel towards our client. I wouldn't want to go see a therapist who didn't feel like she had to have integrity and commitment and, you know, so those
it's
are
the helping
positive
field.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's what we're in it for. Sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. We just have to learn how to kind of balance that. And I think, you know, being in a helping field it's more important to do that and more important to take care of ourselves. They preach in grad school, self-care. Every good therapist has a good therapist, you know?
Yes.
And in that, I get it.
Yes,
it makes sense. There's a good reason why. And it's also hard to turn that on and off.
Yes. Well, and sometimes involuntarily. Like, okay, so we're going to tell your story here in a second, but you know what it makes me think of? So there's a movie, and I think it's called Wine Country, and it's about like this girls' trip where they go, I don't know, Napa Valley or somewhere, right, wherever there's wine. And they run into Brene Brown. Do you know this movie?
No, but
okay,
I gotta see it.
So they're like at a restaurant or something, you know, and they've all been drinking wine, whatever. And at like a table over in the corner, Brene Brown is over there. And of course, we all love Brene Brown, right? I mean, I would have been starstruck, right?
Me too.
So they like run over and they're like, oh, Brene. And she says to them, ladies, boundaries. And she says, I am at dinner with my friends and family. Like, you are not allowed to approach me, essentially. And I was like, because that probably would have been me. And so I think about that all the that's like my Roman Empire. Like I think about that all the time. Like, would I approach her? Probably not, right? Boundaries.
Yes.
We have not mastered that. And this is how. So go ahead and tell our stories.
So it's been a while. But I had to bring this back to Dusty's attention. It's been several years.
It has. But it does happen often. So
it does happen often, yes. We were meeting and having lunch at a Village Inn. And our server came over and, you know, could tell that we were talking shop, if you will.
Sure.
And she's like, what do you guys do for a living? And we said, oh, we're mental health therapists. And she scooted me over and
literally it was like, oh, scoot. Yeah. Scooted her right over. This is so great.
Took a seat next to me and proceeded to tell Dusty and I her trauma history, her diagnoses, and she eventually left to go, you know,
hopefully
punch in our order.
Or something. Yeah.
And Dusty goes, next time we have got to say we're OBGYNs. I don't think anybody would talk to us about that.
Well, I hope not, because that could also really be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this rash I have. We'd be like, no, we're not actually. Actually, we're tax collectors. Let's do that. Let's say we're the IRS. Right? It's the same thing when you go to get a massage or something. You know, like inevitably they're going to be like, so what do you do? And I'm just trying to rest. I'm just trying to self-care. Freaking darn it, right?
Yes.
And they'll be like, oh, I'm a mental health therapist. And it never fails. It's always somebody's like, oh my gosh, do you work with teenagers? Let me tell you about my kid.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no. Now, okay, here's an example. A boundary would be like, you know, that sounds difficult. You know, like I could give you some numbers when we get done with this, but I really need to relax right now. Or I just want to be quiet or something, right? I mean, that would be a good time to set a boundary.
Right. And that's not to discount anybody's trauma history or diagnosis, or not that we don't care, but
but in an appropriate time or fashion or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And I've even seen posts about that on some of our like therapist networking stuff. And I saw someone said one time when like friends and family members will say things like, but aren't you a therapist? And she says, yes, but I'm not yours. Right. So that is, we encounter this all the time. And we have to be really good about setting boundaries out there in the wild when we're not in our office with clients and stuff. Regarding that, but then sometimes I almost feel like then it's harder in our personal lives, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that? Like, I've gotten a lot better with boundaries at work environment, emails, voicemails, all that kind of stuff. I've gotten a lot better with boundaries. I'm really struggling more with that in my personal life.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a connection or if it's just random, but
I mean, I bet there is, right? Like in general, I feel like I manage work okay. This was an off the wall thing with lots of things going on, right?
Right.
In general, I think I handle work, but for me, it would be harder in personal too. Like, I guess to me, that would kind of make sense. Like we would have more of those ruts already in place with friends and family than we would with coworkers or clients. I mean, like I've had clients that I love that I've had for years and stuff, but for the most part, you do kind of have clients that come and go, and you kind of set those boundaries from the beginning,
right?
So maybe those paths would look different, don't you think, than like the one with our moms or our siblings or whatever.
Right. That is a good point. You do establish that in the beginning, and it's in the paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, like here's my cancellation policy. Here, I can't be friends with clients on social media. You know, here are those built-in boundaries. But you're right. It's a little, you can't go back to your mom and say, hey, can we start this relationship over?
Right.
Here's the intake paperwork. Would you please sign and date this and abide by my boundaries?
Or like, here's the ACA code of ethics. Right. I have nobody to back me up when it comes to my relationship with my mom. But with my clients, the board will take away your license.
You know what? That might be a good idea. What if we make like a family code of ethics?
It would be a good idea.
This is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, to be determined. Maybe we'll follow up on that one next time. But I have a really great book that I love that actually a client recommended to me, and it's called Too Much by Terry Cole. And it's about high functioning codependency. And I only think high functioning was thrown in there to make it sound less negative. Right.
I like it though.
Yeah.
I mean, call me high functioning. I mean, flattery gets you anywhere.
I mean, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's over functioning.
Yes,
it's over taking care of. It's trying to sort of like offset those fears.
Sure.
Fears of abandonment, fears of isolation, everything we've talked about. So I'm just going to read this because she has a really great checklist on page 41 of this book.
Okay.
And it's again, it's a self check-in to know whether this is a helpful situation or whether it's too much and it's codependency or people pleasing.
Okay.
Am I helping because I want to, or do I feel obligated? Do I spend a lot of time worrying about someone else's problems? So that would probably be like person specific. Like if this person's asking you to do something again, do I spend too much time worrying about said person's problems?
Okay.
Do I feel anxious, purposeless, or empty when I'm not helping someone? Do I give unasked for advice? Do I give or help in ways that negatively affect my well-being and my sense of self? I love that one.
That one is good, yeah.
Are my relationships out of balance because I give but find it hard to receive? I like that one too. Do I encourage independence or dependence through my helping? Am I enabling or helping? So I thought that was a really great recipe kind of questionnaire checklist thing. And what stood out to me too, and I've talked with clients a lot about this, is doing too much for someone in areas that they could easily do it themselves. You're actually robbing them of the opportunity.
Absolutely.
You're essentially telling them, I don't think you can handle this. I don't think you can do this right. I don't think. And so you feel the need to like take over and do it and help. And you're robbing them of the opportunity to do it differently than you would. That doesn't mean wrong. Or maybe fall or fail.
Yeah.
And we learn the most valuable lessons through our failures, right?
Sure. Well, like you think back to when your kids were toddlers, right? Like sometimes, like you wouldn't be able to like for the rest of their life hold them so that they never had to fully walk on their own, or you know, crawl up the thing on the jungle gym and slide all the way back down or whatever, right? So kind of in that, you know, and that's how you learn like a sense of achievement and accomplishment, right? Is that you learn or do hard things,
Right.
So that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're robbing that person of that opportunity.
Of that as well.
And I don't think this matters as much in like maybe small day-to-day examples as it does, is it a pattern of behavior? Like I'm thinking my daughter that moved back home with us, she got a puppy. She's been exhausted and she woke up a little late for work today. Okay. And she like texted me like, Mom, would you mind throwing me together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And yes, I'm going to help you out in this situation.
Right.
Now, am I going to make my 23-year-old's lunch every day when she's capable? She knows how to make a peanut butter sandwich.
Of course.
Because she's had to do it herself.
Right.
This isn't a pattern of behavior. Like if I'm having a day where I woke up late, I'm stressed and I'm like, hey, could you get me an iced coffee? Right.
Right. Being helpful doesn't translate directly to being a people pleaser or codependent or unhealthy. Yeah. It makes me think though, you know how one of the things on the list says, are you given unsolicited advice? I think we could also say like, are you given unsolicited help? Doesn't just have to be advice, right? Because I don't know how many times, and I made it a conscious decision. I guess I should take inventory if I've done it well or not. I made a conscious decision to stop doing that. That was one piece that I thought I had some control over, that I just would stop offering help until it was asked for. And that has made a little difference. You know what I mean? Because like if somebody asks you specifically, then you can choose, right? But I don't know how many times I would just like leap in. It would be like, what's the opposite of like of a Superman or something? I don't know. I would just like leap right in and be like, let me help you with that. Like, what the hell was that, right?
Yeah.
That's crossing the line. That's not helpful. That's probably invasive, honestly. But that could also kind of go along with that, right? Like
I love that.
Like just like maybe that could be like one step. Like that maybe one step closer to evaluating your people-pleasing tendencies. Just be like, could I not offer help unless it's asked for directly?
Yes, I love that. That's a really good point. And when you talk about people coming to you and asking for help, I've shared this before in previous episodes. A recipe that I try to use, I am by no means perfect at this, but if I am asked to do something or whatever, help with something, if it's not an immediate hell yes for me, I'll say, give me a couple days to think about it and I'll get back to you.
Good, yeah.
And then really do that, really think about it and evaluate if this opportunity or whatever is a good fit for you. And if it's not, you can go back and say, you know what, I've taken some time to think about it. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
Sure.
I truly am honored. But it just doesn't work for me right now. Yeah. And I think that's what it's been a lot for me in the people pleasing is that like, oh my gosh, they thought of me. I'm so honored. I feel so blessed that they asked me. That isn't removed when you say no.
Right.
They still asked you.
And you can still share
honored.
the gratitude. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's maybe those are two pieces of the same equation.
Yeah.
Unsolicited help.
Sure. Yeah.
And then how to respond
when you do get asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Because like what we're talking about is not just like if you're watching this and you're thinking, what's the big deal? Right? Like, I mean, okay, worst case scenario, I'm just going to be extra helpful, right? But it's not just that. Like even the list that you had, like some of them, it comes down to like, it can come down to a point where it becomes detrimental to yourself or your purpose or your identity, right?
Or your physical health.
It can be your physical health. It could be your finances. It could be, I mean, you see lots of stories these days, right? Like, I mean, where any of those things can really be taken advantage of or taken advantage of, right? But you can get to a point where you start losing your own sense of self, where you don't know what it is even like that you like or that you need. I think people pleasers specifically struggle to identify and speak up for what their needs are, you know? Kind of like that movie Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, where she, like whoever she was dating, she would just like, those were her favorite kind of eggs and those were her favorite activities, right? It can kind of really morph into that. And then you just start kind of feeling like you're living the shell of a life, you know, like it's fine. There's a little resentment going on inside of you that no one ever really takes care of you, right? But you like to help, but you you don't really find joy in anything. Because I also bet, and I don't know if this is true, but I also bet that after a while, those little dopamine releases, I bet that they don't fire as much as they do at the beginning, right? Like a freaking drug, right? So like after a while, you just don't know. Like you don't know what feels good to you anymore. Like you search, but so it's not just like, oh, be less helpful. It's like, this is for the integrity of yourself as well.
Exactly.
Like long term. Like none of us
What is my identity?
Like
Who am I?
Who am I? What do I like? What do I want? What do I stand for? Yeah. Any of those things.
Yeah. And you know, that can be scary, but it can also be really fun. One of my favorite activities to do with clients, and I do this a lot myself, and I can't take credit for this. And the person that came up with this, it just totally came out of my mind.
Good, because I had that little brain fart earlier and I figured it was because I'm old. But if you had one too,
way older
then
than
we're
you.
the same. No, we're the same.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say that.
Okay, anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So there was somebody.
Okay, so I can't take credit for this, so please don't sue me because I just cannot remember the name right now. But it's do a journal entry on your perfect ordinary day.
Perfect
like
ordinary
if I got
day.
to create my perfect Tuesday, you know, I'm not talking about the big goals, like the fun things, like traveling to London
on vacation, possibly going to Scotland.
Right.
I mean, we don't all get to live famous lives. So an ordinary day, Tuesday,
just an ordinary Tuesday
in Omaha, Nebraska.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
There are those big goals,
Yes,
right?
of course.
Those bucket list items, those fun things, of course.
Of course.
But what is your perfect ordinary day? What does it look like? What time do you get up? What do you eat for breakfast? What do you do for work? Do you work? Are you tending to your garden? What is your perfect ordinary day look like? And that I have found to be really helpful to kind of like dial in those small little needs, kind of reconnect with yourself and your identity a little bit. And I've talked with a lot of clients about this, and honestly, even a lot of friends, because I am in the age group where I have been for a couple of years now. Like I said, we do have one kiddo that moved back home with us, but my friends and my kids' parents, like we're empty nesters. Mm-hmm. We're in this empty nester, and there's varying degrees of how moms are coping with that. Some are really struggling.
Yeah.
And I love my kids to death, but I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it because I'm like, this is the time that you get to rediscover you.
Yeah.
You get to play. You get to try new things. You get to, how fun and exciting is that? But I've kind of neglected to keep in mind that can also be kind of scary.
Very scary, especially if you've created such an identity about being a helper. I mean, what is a bigger helper than being a parent?
Right.
And I mean, like in our case, moms, right? Like, I mean, like when all my kids moved out, I think I had a little mini identity crisis because I was really good at being mom. I think I had to relearn how to be good at just being me. Because I mean, I had my first kid at 19.
Right.
Who the hell was I before 19? I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know, right? So I was just mom. So I could see how for some people it would be a tough struggle. Like you get to, I was going to say have to. You get to like redefine or rediscover who you are.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And you get to create it. You get to write that narrative.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun also can be a little bit
as hell.
Yep.
You know, you could get a puppy.
So we did get a puppy.
That's what I did after when my kids moved. I got a puppy. You got your puppy. Yeah.
You need something to nurture. Get a puppy.
Isn't that funny? So like what? Stereotypically speaking, men get like fast cars and younger women, and we get puppies. What the heck? I mean, I like mine better.
That's my midlife crisis.
It was my midlife crisis. Some baby to nurture. Yes. Better than a baby though. So
right.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think we could talk about this forever.
We could go on for days, but I kind of like our ideas of doing the perfect ordinary day and like a family code of ethics.
Yeah.
Or maybe even personal code of ethics.
Maybe start with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, like Brene Brown always says, clear is kind, which is really good to remember when it comes to being aware or breaking these patterns or starting to set like new, like ruts, right? Is clear as kind. People are not going to understand if I just suddenly come out of the blue and be like, no, I will never work overtime again. And I do not care. I'm never going to bump my schedule again. They'd be like, what has happened? You know, like maybe true concern that says there's something going on with her, right? Or maybe they're pissed off, who knows? But if I say, hey, this is a new thing that I'm doing and I need some more time at home and balance, and I'm clear about something, that also makes me feel better, and probably the other person. I think it makes the other person feel better too.
That's a really, really good idea.
So if we start with personal code of ethics,
that.
to communicate with our family code of ethics.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That makes a lot of sense because like in our profession, you have to take an entire class.
Yeah.
And a test on the code of ethics.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure I know like insurance professionals, like there's every profession, you know, kind of does have its own set of rules and own
I would think
code
so.
of ethics and
Yeah.
stuff. So
yeah.
Establish your own code of ethics and then work on kindly and directly communicating that.
Right. So then you could start to implement them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea. So I'm going to do my journal thing and give it to you to analyze.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to tell me what it means.
We can do sand tray. Let's do sand tray therapy with them.
Can we bring in a sand tray? Who wants to be our guinea pig? Who's going to come in? Jeez. All right. So before we go completely off the rails, we should wrap up.
Yeah.
I think we've chatted longer on this one than any. So people are probably snoring.
Right. I think, what is that saying? Those who can't teach, or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that so do as we say, don't do as we do.
So go forth and set boundaries and don't people please. So you're so good.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to our shenanigans for another 40 some minutes today. Hopefully we will see you guys back next month. So we'll get back on our schedule, hopefully. So,
Yep.
right.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye. Before we go, don't forget to connect with us on social.
We're on Instagram and Facebook at Tough Topics. That's TUFFTOPIX.
Follow, like, share, all that good stuff, and let us know what topics you want us to cover next.
Because real talk doesn't stop here. It keeps going in the comments.